pleasure to introduce our speaker today, the Reverend Andrew Bozeman. Andrew and his wife Sandy live in Cheektowaga with their cat Apollo. They lived in San Francisco for 35 years before returning to Sandy's hometown of Buffalo in 2018. Andrew is from Chicago. He has one adult son in Orlando, Florida. His other son recently made his transition to Spirit. Andrew is a veteran of the U.S. Air Force and a member of the First Spiritualist Temple. In 1982, he was ordained in San Francisco's Church of Amram. He holds a Bachelor of Metaphysical Sciences degree from the University of Metaphysics in Sedona, Arizona, where he was ordained in the International Metaphysical Ministry. He is currently working on his master's degree. Andrew has lived an active and productive life, working in many different fields, experiencing prosperous times as well as very challenging times in the various chapters of his life. He has worked in major advertising agencies as a writer and producer. He's been an actor, a movie screenwriter, computer programmer, and a corporate management consultant. He has taught meditation and self-esteem to San Quentin prison inmates. He retired as the Director of Technical Training for the City and County of San Francisco in 2002. Then, he established the Southeast Sector Community Development Corporation in the minority community of San Francisco. He created the functional forgiveness system to teach people how to access and apply the energy known as forgiveness. Last spring, he taught this workshop here in our church. He also teaches a workshop called Working with Angels. He has written 2 books and recorded an angelic meditation tape. Andrew is at our reception today. And he also chaired for the first time last week and passed that with flying colors. So please, folks, open your minds and open your hearts to the words and wisdom of Andrew Bozeman.
Good morning.
Good morning.
In the second verse of the NSAC healing prayer are these words: I ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help and to restore them to perfect health. I put my trust in the love and power of God. Now in the first verse of the healing prayer, we heal ourselves. I ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from my mind and body. But then in the second verse, we turn outward and seek healing for others. It's like in the airplane, they tell you to put the mask on yourself first before you can help anyone else. So we heal ourselves first before we can open up and go outwards to others. But then in that second verse, we have to look at the words, help both present and absent ones. So the question arises, well, who are the absent ones? The word absent ones literally means the ones who are not here. Are the absent ones the members of your family who are not present? Are they members of the church who are not present? Or are the absent ones everybody else in the world? I contend that it is everybody else in the world. I believe that with this healing prayer, we are asking the great unseen healing force to heal the world. Of course, it's not an unheard of concept to heal the world. In 1992, the international singing star Michael Jackson released a song entitled, Heal the World. Part of the lyric was, heal the world, make it a better place, for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying, and if you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. In Buddhism, when one takes the vow of becoming a bodhisattva of the earth, he or she takes on the mission of transforming what is known as the suffering-filled Saha world, or the world of physical endurance, and turning it into the land of eternally tranquil light. Transforming the world into a world where life force of Buddhahood is always present. In other words, the bodhisattva takes on the mission of healing the world. There are countless young people around the world with idealist intentions to take on the mission of healing the world. Usually they have no idea of how to accomplish that, and they don't have the level of discipline needed to follow through on their intention. So they eventually mature into so-called realists who are convinced through the hard knocks of life and the many disappointments that the dream they once held is actually unattainable. In other words, healing the world might be impossible. Heal the world. Heal the world. Healing the world is a lofty idea. It's a desire that seems to be held by people from all walks of life and all over the world. And what's interesting in these lofty ideas of the heart is that they're often in conflict with the realities of life, with the shortcomings of human behavior here on the physical plane. For instance, the American Declaration of Independence declared that all men are created equal. But in the United States Constitution in 1787, it was declared that black men are only 3/5 of a man, and anti-literacy laws made it illegal for black people to learn how to read and write, which makes us the only country in history that ever made it illegal to learn how to read. The Mormon Church declared that all the righteous would be honored in heaven, except for the black people who they believed were cursed by God. And even the NSAC succumbed to the demands of the American culture when in 1922, the NSAC expelled all of its African American members in accordance with the dictates of Jim Crow and racial segregation laws. But, as Martin Luther King declared, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. So, despite the darker forms of behavior displayed by humans here on the physical plane, there is an overriding principle that slowly but always surely imposes its corrective influence upon the physical world. That principle, as stated in the NSC Declarations of Principles, are 1, we believe in infinite intelligence, and 2, we believe that the phenomena of nature, both physical and spiritual, are the expression of infinite intelligence. And those who study the metaphysics of infinite intelligence know that since thoughts are things and our words have power, eventually what you say and what you declare is what you are going to get. So as a consequence, the power of infinite intelligence cannot be denied. The Declaration of Independence declared that all men are created and equal. So in 1868, the 14th Amendment to the Constitution reversed the 3/5 rule and made us all full citizens. In 1978, in response to revelations from God, the Mormon Church lifted its prohibitions and opened their ranks and their priesthood to black people. And in the 1970s, the NSAC quietly began re-accepting spiritualist churches with African American membership back into its ranks. So in spite of what may be going on here on the ground, the words uttered in the form of a sacred prayer of healing and repeated on a weekly basis are words that are empowered by infinite intelligence, and infinite intelligence will eventually bring those words into fulfillment. No limitations, no exceptions, no doubt. So understand this. When you read aloud the prayer for spiritual healing, you are not just reciting words. You are combining your spiritual power with the bodhisattvas of the earth. You are combining your spiritual powers with those in many countries around the world who are filled with hope and prayers for the future. And you are combining your spiritual power with millions of spiritualists around the planet. And together, we are all voicing our command to heal the world. I ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help, and to restore them to perfect health. I put my trust in the love and power of God. Except, as powerful as that command is, it's really not that simple. We have to do more than just recite these words. We have to do more to propel the power of those words of an inspired prayer for spiritual healing. You see, as spiritualists, we are being called upon to be more than just ordinary human beings. As spiritualists, we're being called upon to become channels of light for infinite intelligence. As spiritualists, we're being called upon to become living embodiments of spirit. As spiritualists, we're being called upon to become beacons of love, peace, and harmony. As spiritualists, we are being called upon to become exemplars. Exemplars. Flesh and bone living examples who positively influence those around them through the power of their very presence. You see, we live in a world where hundreds of millions of people live in darkness of abject terror. They're afraid of the wrath of dangerous, capricious, and often corrupt authority figures who hold the power of life and death over them. They're afraid of the negative, often unbearable situations in which they live that could cause them to lose their livelihood, or their homes, or their health. They're afraid of death. They're afraid of death because they believe death will take them to places that are either filled with dreadful dangers and horrific supernatural creatures waiting to devour them, or that death is a place of absolutely nothing, the end of existence. They're overwhelmed by the deluge of pornographic fear promoted by panic-peddling major media. They're bombarded with horror movies filled with gory, bloody violence and an epidemic of zombies. And they're awash in the tsunami of conspiracy theories proclaiming that the sky is falling and we're all gonna die. Children are being bullied on social media to the point that young suicides are rising precipitously. Yet, at the same time, our children are so addicted to social media that they actually go into physical symptoms of withdrawal if they are denied access. No wonder our society is overrun by anger, resentment, backstabbing, rudeness, revenge, murder. As a society, we are scared out of our wits, and our fear is taking us to the brink of insanity. So what can we do in the face of such overwhelming darkness? Well, a woman by the name of Helen Lane Rossigue has an answer for that. You see, in the year 1913, Mrs. Helen Rossigue assumed the mantle of head pastor for Plymouth Spiritualist Church in Rochester, New York. She was only the second pastor of the church, which had been established in 1906, and she was the first woman pastor of Plymouth Church. She was born in 1839, and she grew up as a Presbyterian. She had no knowledge whatsoever of spiritualism until she had a spontaneous, mediumistic experience when she was 18 during a seance she was invited to attend. And even though she was told then that she was a natural medium, she rejected the idea. But her curiosity got the best of her, and she started to research and accepted guided development and eventually became a full-fledged medium. When the Civil War arrived, she became a nurse and the bearer of dispatches for the Union Army. After the war, she became an internationally famous medium, lecturer, and psychometrist who assisted archaeologists in Egypt to discover hidden treasures. She helped geologists all over the United States find valuable mineral deposits, and she even located oil and gas fields in California, as well as sources of water. And despite all her fame and worldwide demand, her favorite spot in the world was in Rochester, near her beloved Plymouth Spiritualist Church. So despite her reputation for geologic discovery, it was what she discovered as a devout spiritualist that is her legacy. And it appears on page 223 in the 20th edition of our NSAC Spiritualist Manual. It's a quotation from one of her powerful lectures entitled The Light of Truth. And she said, "All your acts and thoughts here, you are weaving into the tapestry of the future. The designs are beautiful, but you do not see the result until you behold the other side. You do not see the glories that may come to your lives here, for you are weaving the future, weaving for eternity, radiating light here and there over the earth for the salvation of the world. You are saviors. You are redeemers. Insofar as your lives are helpful to others, you are saving the sinner. Insofar as you are leading him to loftier ideas and pure life, you are saving the ignorant man. Insofar as you are leading him into a larger and diviner knowledge of the truth, you are redeeming the sick from weakness and disease. Insofar as you are leading them to the fountains of health and strength, you are teaching men the laws and divinity of their own being when you instill into them a desire for the higher and nobler requirements of body and soul. You are redeemers of the world when you are leading your fellow kind to better living and thinking, to higher hope, a higher appreciation, to a higher morality, to a higher, holier alliance, to all that is true, glorious, and divine." So in thinking about the words of Helen Russagy, remember, you have a special calling. You are here to help heal the world. You do it by your presence. Your electromagnetic field extends out from your heart and encompasses all around you. You do it by your beliefs as spiritualists that serve to uplift you and offer others healing and knowledge and love. You do it by your deeds that seek to bring harmony. And you do it by the words you recite here each and every Sunday in the second verse of the NSAC healing prayer. I ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help, and to restore them to perfect health. I put my trust in the love and power